So I'm back in Animate. I have cleaned up Homer's nose here, added that one little segment to it, and I wanted to show you real quickly what we need to do to add the shadows to Homer. So currently our reference image is behind our background color that we added in the last lesson. So what I need to do is click that layer of background color and drop it behind our reference image. That way when we show our reference image, we can actually see it. I'm going to hide the assembled parts and lock that down. You can see we've got a little bit of a shadow here and a little bit of shadow here and then here, just those three spots of shadowing. What I'm going to do is a little different than maybe what they have. I don't know that I'm going to have any shadow directly on top of Homer here. I think I'm going to have just where all the shadow goes behind him. I think it'll be a lot easier and faster for you, which is a good thing. So let's go ahead and get started. Here's what we're going to do first. We're going to click on the assembled parts layer. I'm going to show that assembled parts layer and unlock it. And I'm going to select the base arm. Okay, so if you are right here, arm skin is what I named it. And then I'm going to copy that symbol. I'm going to then come up to my drawing layer after locking that. Okay, and I'm going to paste it into place. And you can see that it is pasted in place on top of it now because it's on a layer on top. And so it hides those little lines. Now I can't actually edit the symbol. If I start editing the symbol, it's going to edit the symbol that's underneath it, the exact copy of it, right? Because they're the exact same thing. You edit one, you're editing all of them. So what I have to do is actually come here under Modify, and you'll see the keyboard shortcut for this break apart is Command B. So think Command B, break apart. That breaks it back apart into its elemental little things. So with it selected there, you can see over here, now it doesn't show the symbol name, it shows just basically a shape to it. I'm going to turn the stroke off, and I can do that either here, or I could come out and select the stroke and delete it. And then for an actual shadow, what I'm going to do is choose the black color, but I'm going to come here underneath this alpha setting, and I'm going to turn that alpha setting down to about, let's say 20% for right now. See what that looks like. So I've got that set to black at 20% for our shadow. I have it all selected. Now I need to make it back into a symbol. So I'm going to press that F8 key again, and I'm going to make this shadow underscore, and this is his right underscore arm. And I'm going to hit OK. And so you can see this arm versus this arm, it's added a 20% kind of shadow tan to the top of it. But we don't want it on the top. So we're going to go Command X, that cut it off of this drawing layer. We're going to come back here to our assembled parts layer, paste it back in place. But what we need to do is this. We need to move this. So this symbol we're going to move back over here into place, roughly where our shadow needs to be. But I said I'm going to make it easy on you and not have any shadow actually on top of Homer. So we need to move this behind the existing symbol. So to do that, I'm going to right click and choose Arrange. And you can see right here to send it to the back, it's Shift, Command, and then down arrow. So I'm going to do that, Shift, Command, down arrow, and now it has added that shadow underneath. Now why does this look darker than that? Well, it's simply because we still have that reference image there. If I take the reference image out, because it's a transparency, it's just adding on to what is currently there. So there's already a shadow there. We're adding on top of that shadow. That's why it makes it look darker there versus these areas where we have it. All right. So back here, assembled parts, I'm going to choose the shirt this time. Command C to copy it. Lock that layer so I make sure not to paste it there. Come back to my drawing layer. Command Shift V. Pasted it in place. You notice the little pieces of the collar or underneath the armpits here, they all went away, those little lines that we drew. That's fine. We don't want to change the color now, because if we try changing the color now, it's going to do it to that whole symbol. We don't want that. What we do want to do, though, again, is that Modify Break Apart, which is Command B. So Command B breaks it apart into its little elements. The other way you can select the stroke is make sure to select it all by just clicking the stroke, pressing D, then you've got just the fill left, because that's all you want at the end. The fill here we're going to set to be our transparency to 20% and the color to black. All right, Still have it selected, so why not go ahead and just make it into a symbol right now. Shadow, if I can type here, shadow underscore shirt. Hit OK. So now you can see it's added a tint to that, makes it kind of a very light gray because black and white make gray. And so I'm going to cut that off of this layer, the drawing layer, come back to my assembled parts layer, Command-Shift-V, pasted it in place. Then what I can do is very carefully try to move this right into place. Now notice here's where you're going to have the one little issue maybe is right here. You don't want these two things to overlap as best possible. So I'm going to just set it right there for the moment. And then I'm going to do that Command, Shift, and then I'm going to press down arrow and it moves it all the way to the back. Okay. I can double click into that symbol if needed. And then if I need to, again, zoom in really close to this space bar, and I can see, hey, I need to move that one little point just ever so slightly there a little bit. May need to move this back end of it just slightly. And one little spot over here, it's still overlapping. You can see over here, I don't really care about all this that goes up underneath his arm here. So we could actually come through and just really do some crazy stuff to this, but we don't need to, so we can just kind of zoom in here. Try to zoom in again. There we go. And see, now it's not really overlapping. I can click back out to scene one. It's fairly seamless there. I may need to nudge that one down or this one up, either way. And I could just do that with arrow keys, or again, coming back into it ever so slightly here and just gently nudge that. Okay. Now you may have to make sure that you do have off. There is a setting in here under View Snapping where you want to have all the snapping stuff turned off. So if you have any of this snapping on, it's going to be real hard to do that little fine-tuned precision kind of stuff there. And that's probably good enough because once you zoom out, you don't even see the rest of it. And we'll add a blur to this in a minute, so it's not going to matter anyhow. All right, so next thing, we've got another shadow here behind his head, and then this shadow over here. So let's do those real quick. Let's go ahead and do this arm real quick. We'll select it. We're on that assembled parts. Command-C to copy it. Go up to our drawing layer. Command-Shift-V, that pasted in place. Command-B to break apart. Select the stroke, delete it, select the fill, change the fill to black, change that fill transparency to 20, so you've got a black 20%, okay? Make it a symbol, shadow underscore left underscore arm. Then all I need to do, Command X to cut it off this layer, go back here, Command Shift V, paste it back in place. Then I can either use my arrow keys or I can just click this one and drag it. It's pretty easy. Then I can either right click and choose arrange, send to back, or I can do that Shift Command down arrow, and now it's in place. Good to go. All right, moving right along here. Now let's do his head. So we've got this unselected here. I'm going to select both his head shape, but I also see shadows from his little bit of hair here too. So we're going to need to do a little something special with that. So what I'm going to do here, I've got that head shape selected. I'm going to press Shift, hold the Shift key down, and then select the hair. So it selected both of those items. Command-C, which is copy, lock that back down. Let's go to the drawing layer here. Command-Shift-V, paste it on place. Command-B is going to break them apart, right? So everybody's got all that. Fabulous. Awesome. So now it's all selected. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come here under Modify, Shape, and I'm going to convert these lines because we've got that little bit of hair in that stroke in this instance that are actually lines, and we're going to just convert them to a fill. But first what we want to do is select this one around him. But it's really not going to matter. So let's just select everything again, have everything selected again on this layer. So we want to come back here to that shape, convert lines to fills. Boom. So now it's made everything one fill. That's why we don't even have a stroke to it at all. It looks as everything as a fill. Let's set it all to be 20% and then set it to be black. And then what we need to do is make it one big symbol here, one big happy symbol. And we're going to do that just by using our keyboard shortcut F8. Shadow, come on, spell. Shadow head there. And now we need to cut that off of him, take it back to our assembled parts layer, Command Shift V, drop it back in there. We can then move this into place here, roughly where the hair and all that. I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut this time. That was Command Shift and then down arrow, moves it to the back. So we got that shadow. So now we're done with our shadows, but they're kind of a hard, strong edge to it. So what I'm going to do with our shadows is this. I'm going to select, we did 4 of them. We did 1 for the shirt. I'm going to press Shift, 1 for the right arm, 1 for his left arm, and then 1 for that head shape. So I have all 4 of those selected there, right? And I need to make sure I got all 4, and I can kind of see that little faint little symbol line. Then what I'm going to do is come here under filters for these, and I'm going to choose to add a filter, and the filter I'm going to choose to add is this blur. And currently it's set at 4 pixels. I'm going to turn it up to 10 just so I can see what that looks like here. And we want that to blur this edge. So if I needed to see what it looks like before versus after, if I have those selected, right? Let me zoom in here just a little bit. Let me hide the reference image. That's going to make the biggest difference to this. So with that symbol selected, just to kind of show you this little eyeball right here under the properties panel, you can see it before versus after. Do you see how we had such a hard edge before, right? So here, if I select all of them, let me go ahead and select all of them again so you can kind of see that difference. So again, space bar, right? Press that Shift key down and select all 4 of them. If I had that little blur there, it says it's already there. Okay, well, it's there. So we had it. If we hid that value versus turning it off, you can see how that is just making that so harsh. Without it, it's such a strong edge, so that I think we're at a better shape and a better place if we have all of that. And I think about 10's probably good, and we've got them locked, so it's doing both of them. Make sure I've got that one set to 10 as well. So I've got a blur of 10. You can see that difference in here, especially if I'm zooming into it. Again, that blur. Okay, so that just softens that edge of the shadow, because that's what a shadow would do. We're not going to worry about the highlights. I'm going to make this easy on you, nor are we going to worry about that shadow that was there on top of him. So if we hid that, you could kind of see, hey, he had a little bit of shadow on him, but I think he looks just as good and nice without it. And the next, we're going to add a sound and a button to do the sound. So that will be the third part. This you should be able to finish in class quick and easy. To turn it in, you go File, Export Image. Make sure that you have the background. See, I have that background showing right now. Don't want that, okay? So make sure you have that hidden, that reference, okay? That way we can see everything nice, clean to it. Then you're going to come here under JPEG. Make sure you've got it set to JPEG. Hit Save. Save it out. Make sure you know you're going to send it probably to the desktop or wherever you're going to do then to then upload it from there to Canvas. I've already got a copy of it. Boom, save. And then I'm going to save this as part 2. So that will be part 2. Part 3 you'll do on Monday.